Hello, I'm Nayaswami Jyotish, and I'm going to read a blog that was written a couple of years ago. It's from our book, Touch of Peace. It's called 50 Years. Next week, Ananda will celebrate its 50th anniversary. We took possession of the land we now call Ananda Village on July 4th, 1969. We've often remarked on the coincidence of July 4th also being what is generally considered to be the date of birth of the United States, the day of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Both were born from the desire to fight oppression, one against tyrannical overseas power, and the other, Ananda, against the even more tyrannical ruler, delusion. More than 850 people will join Ananda for a week-long anniversary celebration, which will be filled with classes, music, inspiration, and joy, and will include, as well as the dedication of the beautiful new Temple of Light. People are coming from around the world to be part of the energy. You too can tune in to many of the events on the internet, either live or recorded. Just as a footnote, all of these events are recorded and you can find them because I'm reading this more than 2 years after the event itself. You can find these on the internet, and some of them are extremely inspiring. Back to the blog. The classes during the week will cover the challenges, commitment, and creativity that carved out a complete way of life lived for God, and that have made Ananda a beacon of light for the world. The essence of Ananda was expressed many years before its founding, when Swami Kriyananda crossed the country to meet his great guru, Paramahansa Yogananda. Having just read Autobiography of a Yogi, Swamiji's deep desire was to find God and to share him with everyone. Now, 50 years later, Ananda is still committed to those two goals. What does it take for a community or an individual to persevere for a half century against all the tests and trials that life throws at us? Here are 3 elements that made it work for Ananda. 1, absolute faith in the power and teachings of the Guru. Faith in the Guru, in our case Paramahansa Yogananda, gives you 2 essential ingredients: the desire to practice his divinely inspired teachings, and even more importantly, his grace and blessings on your efforts. 2, the support of others who are seeking God. It is much easier to keep your resolve when in the company of others who share the path with you. When you need help, or when your resolution fades, you have friends to help, and when they flag, you are there for them. The essence of spiritual community is sharing deep friendships during both the good and the difficult times. And 3, individual will and perseverance. There are many ups and downs in life, and sometimes one has to use fierce determination to power through obstacles. On the other hand, you can't sprint the whole marathon. You have to pace yourself. True perseverance requires finding a balance between effort and relaxation. It also requires that we find and maintain the innate joy that lives within each of us. If you can accept and even laugh at your tests, you'll be able to maintain your center when, as Yogananda put it, trials shriek and worries howl at you. There are many other qualities that could be mentioned, but to my mind, these are the 3 most important. I think I'll stop here and follow this wise advice. an effective talk or blog needs a strong opening and a good ending, and the two should be as close together as possible. So, friends, obviously this was written for a special occasion of the 50th anniversary of Ananda, but the real essence is, how do we persevere over a long period of time? As Davy and I travel around the world, many, many people ask us, how do you keep going on the path? How do you stay at it? And it is a real question. Partly, honestly, it is good karma to be able to do so. But where does good karma come from? Good karma comes from doing your best, and if you do that in one lifetime, then that energy carries to the next lifetime and the next and the next. And so this blog really is about doing your best. And how do we do our best? With these 3 points that I mentioned. Faith in God and Guru. For us, that's Paramahansa Yogananda. But it may not be that for you. Maybe it's just faith in the goodness of the world, but something has to be there to give you an upward direction to hold on to. If you're trying to climb a slope, you've got to hold on to a rope that's tied above you, not one that's tied below you. So the one tied below you is your pessimism, your negative thoughts, and all of that. If you hold on to that rope, there's no safety in it. Hold on to something, in this case faith, that will help you ascend in an upward direction. Secondly, find friends that share your aspirations with you, because the support of friends is extremely important in any endeavor, especially one that requires perseverance. And then finally, sometimes you just plain have to grit it out. If you don't, it won't happen. You know, I've run, when I was younger, several marathons. And there came times in each one of those long races, 26 miles of hard effort, there came times when I wanted to quit, or when it got really difficult. And I'd tried all the techniques, relax as much as possible, pace yourself, all of those things, but there still came into the mind the desire to quit. And at that time, I just had to tell myself, get thee behind me, Satan. I'm not quitting. Doggone it, I signed up for this. I'm going to do it to the end. And sometimes you just need to make that firm determination. But you can't make it all the time. Sometimes you do. Life is a very long marathon. And I don't mean quit on your overall goals, but sometimes you need to back off of a particular effort if your mind isn't willing to make that effort at the time. And that's fine. Swami Kriyananda used the analogy that we should be like people trying to reel in a fish that's hooked. Sometimes the fish isn't fighting, and so that's the time to reel, but when the fish is fighting a lot, sometimes you have to let it go, and sometimes you have to give it line to let it run so you don't break the line. And so it is with our mind. Our mind is that fish. Our emotions are that fish. And sometimes we have to let them run a little bit, but don't let go of the line. Keep that reel there so that when the mind stops or the emotions calm down a little bit, then you can start reeling it back in the direction that you want to go. And if you do that, you will net the fish of self-realization in the end. God bless you.